transition out of my current day job into something more in media. So yeah, sorry, no good answer there. But what are you looking for?
I actually think that's literally the perfect answer.
Really?
Yes, because all of us are really just trying to learn something new, and like, especially with 360 content and immersive content, Sammy will tell you it's like such a new sort of a medium, and even what you can do with it in post-production. If you do want to make a flat, like normal 16:9 content, it works out really well. So yeah, this literally is for beginners, and all of us are beginners here. So welcome.
It's very kind of you to say. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else who would like to introduce themselves?
Hi everyone, I'm Lwazi, and I'm also here to just learn and hear what interesting things Sammy can do and I can potentially do with 360 cameras. So yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Trevor, and I have 2 360 cameras, and I'm really interested in learning more about kind of the pre-planning phase of it to create more effective, more interesting videos than just walking around holding my stick.
No, welcome, Trevor.
Trevor, I think I saw your question in the email, in the invite. I think you had asked about the Mad Venture camera.
No, that wasn't me. I have a Ricoh Theta, and I also have the Insta360 1R.
Oh, okay. You should be particularly interested in Sammy's thingy, because that's exactly the 1R is what he'll be touching on.
Perfect. I'm so excited.
All right. Anybody else before we start? Okay. So, yeah, I think most of you guys have joined. So I'm just going to go ahead. But before, Refile, is there anything else you would like to say before we go ahead, or are you okay?
I just want to let everybody know that during the course of the webinar, if you do have any questions, just drop them in the chat box, and I'll try as much as possible to answer them for you.
Okay. So now let's start. Evening, everyone. My name is Sammy. I'm from African Technopreneurs, and welcome to the AT Hangouts. So the theme of today would be 360 content. I'll be explaining to you what I've been using my 360 camera for, and then how I have been using it for, and also in terms of the studio, the Insta360 Studio. How can you actually use it instead of exporting? Because there are other features that a lot of you might not know, but those who know, that you can actually play around with your content or your video that you are actually recording. And from there, I'll be showing you the AR effect, AI. So one of the best features with the Insta is you can actually play around with the AI effect. So in terms of cloning yourself, that you can actually do from post, but you don't need the hassle of going to post. You can actually do it from the camera. So those are the things that I'll be touching on. So let's get started. So to start it off, I'll be introducing this camera here. So this is the camera that I've been using, the Insta360 1R Twin Edition. So this is one of our best camera that I've been playing with. So it's a modular camera, as you might know. So a modular camera, what do I mean about a modular camera? So you actually clip it off. So it has a button here, you can actually push and you can unclip it. So it comes off. So this is your battery, and this would be your core mode. So this would be the motherboard of the camera. So this is the actual hard drive, or basically the motherboard of this baby here would be your 360 core mode. This is how it is. And let me just clip it back on. For those who don't understand how 360 works, so in the front you have a 180 lens, and you have a 360, you have a 180 in the rear again. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop sharing so that you can actually see what am I doing. So this is your 180 in the front and 180 in the rear. So when they come together, they make a 360 image, meaning they're gonna cut off this side here. You won't actually see this side, it will cut it off, and the only thing you'll see is two images all together in a 360 format. So that's how they call it a 360 image. So one of the best things that I have actually learned using this camera is that the content that I got, instead of using it to play around, as Trevor was saying, just holding a stick, most people will be surprised looking at you holding a stick because they don't know what you're holding. And it's nice to know that the stick that you're holding doesn't actually come out. It's quite invisible. So the reason being it being invincible is because of the stitch line. So whenever it cuts, whenever the camera meets in the middle, it cuts out the selfie stick, so it won't actually show. So that's why it creates that effect. So let's just get straight into it. I want to show you the Insta360 software studio that I've been working on, how it works, and then I'm going to share with you the workflow and also how to drop in the content you have. Like for instance, your timeline. I'm just going to show you here. Just going to share this. Okay. So this is my, give me a second there. So this would be your timeline. So obviously this would be your format that you're gonna be getting from your camera. So if it's in this format, so it's an INSV. So the normal format that we're all used to is MP4 or MOV, but with the 360 camera, it generates this format, INSV, which is in 360 as well. And then as you scroll up, you'll see here your different formats. So this one, LRV, is the 4K mode. So this would be your 4K mode. If you can focus on my screen, the small screen, this is the 4K mode that I have here. But I'm just going to stop sharing it for a second, and then I'll show you the 4K mode and give you a clear understanding of the 4K mode. So what I normally do is you take out the memory card from your camera, and you install it to your PC or Mac, and then from there you open it from your files, and you just drag this like this, and then you drop it into this studio here. Show you here. So already I have something opened up for you, as you can see here. So this would be my studio that I have. So with this is already a video that I currently recorded from Toyota Melrose. So as you can see, you're only seeing the gentleman sitting and you don't know what to expect. So this would be a 360 video that I actually captured. So in terms of content-wise, like how can you use your camera rather than you doing any action sports, you can actually use it for marketing. So the reason why we did this video is because of with the lockdown regulations, people are not allowed to actually go out or go anywhere. So the nice thing about using a 360 camera is that you want your customers to engage or to be in connect with the content you're sharing. So as you can see here, This would be the new Toyota Hilux, called Toyota Quantum. So as you can see, the gentleman is our salesman. He's gonna be talking to you as a normal customer about the taxi, how it feels inside the leather, and then you can actually view this. So what's nice about this, if you're creating it for a client or if for yourself or for your business, for instance, people will be able to view everything around them. And as you can see with the quality, and you can actually zoom in and zoom out. So now, let me just play this.
Tomorrow's best Toyota. I am sitting inside the new Mini 20.
And what's nice is
Toyota
this
Quantum
audio is quite
EX
good as well.
Luxury at its best. As you can see for yourself. Hand stitched leather. Reclinable seats. Air conditioning all around the car.
Which is nice. So now, this is something that is quite basic. Now we're gonna go into the hard part of it. Like, so what do you do when you have a video like this? Like, what is here? What is going on here? The export. What is going on here? What is going on this one? So let me start at the beginning from footage. So this would be where your footage will be. Like when you actually drop it, this is where you can see it. Okay, let me just show you here. So this is your footage. If you have images, you can actually drop them here, and you can actually select if you want images only or video or your favorites, which I already selected my favorites that I'll be touching on today. And I just go to all. So from here, you have your thumbnail where you can actually change the display. Let's say you want in a list format, you have it in a list format, and you have it here. So this would be your video, and this would be your viewing point. So what's going on here? For instance, if you want to see this footage or this video in a tiny planet effect, so this would be your tiny planet option. You select that. It creates a tiny planet effect, and you can actually view it in and view out. Just to change it, play with different settings. Your crystal ball, you can do that. And you have normal view. So with natural view, you can actually, you see it's quite stiff. It's not actually a fisheye lens anymore. It's quite different. But what you need to do, and also you have a flat. So bear in mind, when it's flat is one image on the other side and the other one in from the other side. So this is where you can show you where they're all meeting up. So from here, you can see it's one area, and from this side is another image which continues from this side. So let's push it back to default. This would be your default video. So on this side, you have your basic settings. So for instance, for flow stabilization. So if you are recording something that is shaking or whatever, and you might be thinking, do you need a gimbal when you have this camera? No, you don't need a gimbal. So the camera originally has flow state stabilization, meaning that any video that you record is quite smooth. So you won't be shaking or anything. I have a video I'll show you about that video. Then from here, you have your stitching. So the stitching for now, I'm not sure if you can see. So I put the camera in this way, facing our salesman. So when you turn it here, next to the window, you can look at where I am hovering at the window there. You can actually see it's quite, it's like, let me just zoom into it. So it created a bit of a duplicate. So if I select lens guard, so lens guards that protect your camera. If you can zoom on from my small video, you can see this would be your camera, and the lens guard covers your lens. So they actually protect your lens from any objects. If your camera falls down, they'll be protected. The only thing that will get damaged will be your lens guard, and you can actually clean it off. So your lens will be safe. So if I select lens guard and then come back here, as you can see here from the door, it's quite, the stitching is not actually good. Let me see. People are still coming in, okay. So as you can see here, the stitch line is quite bad. So if you go back to normal and then selected it, you see the stitch line is quite good. So in terms of using a rig, so before, what they used to do is that they used to mount different cameras. What do I mean about different cameras? So what they used to do before is they actually use 4 cameras or 6 cameras. They actually mount them all together in a rig. So like you can use a GoPro and then they mount them all together. The stitch line would be bad at the time, but with the new Insta360, like the technology they have used here is just 2 cameras, 2 lenses, and you don't have any issues of stitch lines and so on. Let's just go back to studio. So this is our video, as you can see. And these are other features that you can actually use if you are using your camera underwater. So for now, we are not using any of the DAF case. So the camera, it is waterproof, but it cannot go more than 5 meters underwater. It can only go, no, it cannot go more than 5 meters underwater. It can only go 5 meters on the level, on the upper level of the water. So if you want to take it underwater, you can use the DAF case, which we do have. And here, dynamic, what is the stitching optimization? So dynamic stitching obviously would be like how good your stitch line would be. So if we select it here, you won't actually see the difference, but you can see it's quite clear compared to the different part. But it's not actually easy for anybody to see that. So what I normally advise is whenever you're positioning your camera, make sure you're putting it in front of the object, meaning one lens, your front lens, if you can look at the lens that I have here, the front lens needs to look at the object, but do not put your camera like this, whereby the camera will be facing you. So if the camera is facing me like this, obviously it will cut me off, and the stitch line will be one thing that you have to deal with. But if you put it like this, so we are touching on positioning your camera. So whenever you're positioning your camera to any recording that you're going to be doing, make sure one lens is facing the object that you want. For instance, if it's me, I'm going to be presenting to the camera. Make sure you are positioning it to my face so that I can see. I can be looking into the camera so that when another person is looking at that video, they can see that I'm doing eye contact. So you don't move away from your normal videography in terms of how they teach you, in terms of recording. But if you put it like this, obviously you won't get anywhere in terms of your stitch line. Your video will be bad. So going back to our video. So another thing that I like about the software here, that rather than you going to post to add something, let's say for instance, you want to add your logo. So they actually have logos here. So the reason why you're seeing BMW is that I was doing something for BMW. So you can actually add the logo, and you can change the size. So for instance, if you want to reduce it to make it bigger or smaller, you can actually do that. So how do you generate logos? So you actually go here, you can say add logo. So once you select that, it will open up your normal studio file. So basically it will open up your desktop, and from there you'll be able to add logos that you have from your desktop or you download it for your clients. So let's just remove it. So one thing that I've noticed, what I've learned is that with the camera, not only is 360 that you have here, you also have free capture. So free capture is a different scenario at all. So free capture meaning like you can actually play around with your content. So rather than you creating a normal 360 video, which they're going to be viewing, it's either on their phone or desktop or wherever they're going to be viewing it, or in a VR headset, they can actually view it in 360. But when you are editing something in free capture, it's not the case. So the two differences, the view that I'm selecting here and free capture, the only two differences that this one would be 360, but when you come here, it will export it out as a normal video, meaning it won't be 360 video when you're exporting it. So for instance, if I hit export, you'll see my resolution has changed to 1080. I'll come back to the format.
Your
Okay,
class.
it's me. Let me go to view, export. As you can see, the resolution has changed. The reason for it being changing is that, as I said, while you're in view, it will export as 5.7K, which is the resolution of the camera. Okay. Right. So it's 5.7K in terms of resolution. Now let me touch down on this one for the bit rate. So your bit rate was quite high. So the reason being is that one thing that you need to take into mind is the memory card the camera actually uses. So it's actually using in SanDisk Extreme memory card. So you can actually use any small memory card. You actually need to use a high-speed memory card. So for now, I'm just going to stop the sharing to show you the memory card I'm referring to. If you can actually see, it's quite small. So it's reddish in the top and then goldish. So just so that you actually know what is an extreme memory card. But we will send you photos if you want to see it. But bear in mind, in terms of class, there are different memory cards. You might be thinking they're all the same. Well, they're not the same in terms of speed and also class. This is an A2 class, meaning it's quite faster compared to the A1. So there's an A1 and A2, which they look alike, but they're not the same. So the reason not being the same is the speed. So the other one would reach is the A1. I know is in terms of speed is 160 megabytes, and then the A2 would be 170. But if I'm not, I can double check if I'm not correct. Let's just put it there. Let me just take you back to. Okay. So we're back here. So in terms of coding formats, for those who are using Premiere Pro or Adobe, what is this? Premiere Pro, which falls under Adobe, sorry about that. And Final Cut or DaVinci Resolve, in terms of studio-wise, if you're using any studio, most people like to export using ProRes. For me, I prefer to use ProRes because I just like the quality that it saves it in. But even if you save in 265, the quality still will be proper. So remove grain. So this one would be a nice thing that Insta360 has added, but for my understanding and for what I've seen is that even if you use it, you won't see any difference. If you can see here, if I'm zooming, you can see how it's quite like the noise here is quite big. And let's see, as you can see, it's quite not clear. It's not clear if you're zooming in. So what remove grain will do is that it will actually try to minimize all of this. But you can actually play around with your color coding if you, okay, sorry about that. Okay, so if you want to edit, you can, but what I've advised is don't actually select it. What you can normally do is you can just play around with your colors after post, if you're gonna go on post. But the other benefit with Insta360, if maybe you don't wanna go to the hassle of downloading your memory cards and then dropping them here in the Insta360 Stitcher Studio, which is free. You don't have to pay for anything for this. What they've added is these plugins. So as you can see here, what I'm hovering to is the Adobe Premiere tutorial. So if you select it, it will actually take you to a link where it will show you how to download the plugins. So those plugins, you'll be able to play around with this video in Adobe rather than you taking it here and then from here taking it to Adobe, which is a three-way process, but you can do it all in one. Sorry about that. So in Adobe, you'll be using GoPro reframes, whereby you'll be able to pan around and zoom on it and change your your keyframe. So for instance, if you want your video to start from this direction, you can actually do that, but it won't make logical sense because the moment you have it in the VRSA, people will see in the front and they're going to hear a voice in the back. So they're going to turn. If they turn, obviously, they will have to stand up or just move their body, which is going to be uncomfortable. But if they have, if your video, you started like this, now people are engaged, they can actually see the object, they can view around, and if the salesperson will be talking, you can say, you can look at the back, people will be able to see the car in the back. Even then, on your phone, you can actually do this. Clients can actually see this on their phone. So now, let me touch on free capture. So for free capture, for instance, if I'm gonna use this for normal video, I don't wanna use it for 360. You can actually do that as well. So what I'm doing here is I'm reducing my timeline in terms of how long should the video play for. And I'll show you here, which is my time. I wanted to start there. And I'm gonna scroll from the beginning to the car. So this would be your pivot point. This is your pivot point. This is to remove your pivot point. And this is a tracking AI effect, whereby it can track an object. There's another video I have where I can track an object, and this would be your speed. So for instance, if you want it to be faster, you can do that. But for now, we don't need that. Let me, okay. All right. So this would be your keyframe where it has to start, and you can hit next and so on. This you can actually reduce. And here you can actually take a photo. So this, for instance, if you want to take a normal photo of the front, you can actually take a photo and then it will save it into your phone, into your desktop, or your wherever you want to store it. And this is your volume. As you can see, this would be your resolution if you want it to be bigger or smaller. So reframe. How I normally use them, there's a video that I actually wanted to show you where I'm playing around with reframes. Let me just open it here. Okay, this one. Yes. This is another video that I'll be touching on. This should be the video.
Yep, it's a quantum.
What's my favorites? Okay, so there's a video here. Where's this video? Okay, so with this video here, what I've did is I was using the AI effect. As you can see, it's me, and it's me again, and it's me again, and it's me again. So on post, like on Adobe and Final Cut, you are actually forced to cut this, or you can actually mirror it. You can mirror, or you can actually cut the same keyframe. So you actually had to clone all of this. So the nice thing with Insta360 is that you can actually do it on your app rather than you doing it on your phone, rather than you doing it on your, on your desktop, like with using Premiere Pro or so on. But there's a video that I want to share with you guys. So I'm just gonna go to it now. I'll be stopping the share and opening it up. Let's see here. I'm just opening it now. Okay. So let me share. So the video that I'll be sharing now will be touching on the keyframes. Okay. So this is me again. So in this scenario, we'll be using the free capture, whereby in terms of content, so the content that I started with was the marketing content that you are using your normal Insta360 for marketing, especially using it for showcasing the car, because a lot of people at the time were not allowed to actually go to places and so on. Now you're bringing that feeling to them. And also not only for marketing in terms of what the camera can be used for. This is a different content. For instance, for a music video, let's say you don't want somebody to be in your shot. It's only you. So the only thing you are seeing here is me walking down the steps, and you can actually see the camera. You can't see anything around you. And I'm holding the invincible selfie stick. If I zoom in close, you can actually see there's something that I'm holding, but it's not clear. So with the free capture, what you can normally do with the free capture, you can start it off like this. So you can focus on your object, reduce it, you hit your pivot point. So on Adobe, with the plugins, you are able to have all of this. Before you didn't have them. So what they actually did here is that you can actually change the field of view. So for instance, I want my video to rotate. So I'm just gonna change the way you're viewing it. In this case. And 90 should be correct. Then you hit play, you let it play for a second, stop it. Obviously, it's quite, let's see. Then you go back to it to say cancel. It's gonna put it back to 00. Then we're gonna say play. So now, here's a kicker. You want it to focus on you now. That's when you're coming in. You're gonna do that. I'm just gonna move it. Hit my pivot point. Zoom in a bit. That's me. So you actually have to turn it again. Hit your pivot point. Zoom out. Change it again. So you always have to be in frame. So you don't want to lose your frame. Like instead, like if it's gonna be like here, you're gonna be asking yourself what's going on here. So always keep it into frame. Okay. Point. Wait. Now you wanna confuse. But I'll zoom into you. So let's play back and let's see what's going on now. So these are the keyframes, your free capture basically. So what I've did here is just basic. Anybody can actually learn this like from the word go. There is a video that I'll be showing you guys just soon. From there you hit export. As you can see, the resolution is quite low. It's 1080. The reason being is that it's not a 360. But for those who like to increase their quality, what I normally do is I cancel the number and then I put in 4K resolution. So 380. So this would be your 4K res, and you can actually change your bit rate if you want to. And from there you can export. I normally do that. So with the color plus, what does the color plus do? So it will improve my color quality. So if you can see, it's quite dark. So if I hit color plus, it will change it. It will increase the vividness of my video, making it more brighter. But for in this scenario, I actually don't want to do that because I can do that on post. And here would be your name of the video. You can either name it to whatever you want. Here would be the location. For instance, if you hit change, it will ask you where do you want to save it. You can do that, but I won't be exporting for now. Just stop it there. So this is the Insta360 Studio. Those are the two fundamental things that you can actually do with the camera. So what I've showed you before was a video of a car in terms of sales and corporate video type. And the second video that I'm showing you is more of free play. For instance, a video that is quite different from the naked eye and from what people have been using. And I want to share a video that I did using free capture mode. I'm just gonna share it now. So this video, I actually uploaded it on YouTube. Okay, so this will be the video. Just gonna open it up. So what I did here, I was using the pivot points. As you can see, it's rotating from the ceiling. You won't see that up until it actually plays. Then you can see your object. So I was moving with him the whole time. So I was not in the shot or anything. If you can see here at the bottom, here is a tripod, the all-purpose tripod. I could have maxed that out on post, but for this situation, I didn't want to do that because I wanted to show you what's actually happening. As you can see, the visuals are actually moving. Now it's back at the top. It's coming back now. What I like about this camera is that you can actually do different content or different visuals from your normal camera. So instead of you doing all of this, the camera can do it for you. So the only thing I did is I placed down the camera on the bottom, it recorded. Once it recorded, the only thing I did is go to the Insta360 Software Studio and play around with my pivot points. Make sure that every time he moves, I change my pivot point. When he moves, change my pivot point, and then with the ceiling, because I saw that it was the reflection, as I thought that would be cool, instead to add down to add it on, which I did. And the audio, I got it. So basically, what I did is I created the pivot points. Then from there, took it to post. Took an audio, put it on my timeline, and export it. So it's done, which is a long process. Whereas I should have used the GoPro plugins, but at that time I didn't want to do that. I'm seeing that I'm getting questions. Okay, no, sorry about that. It's me. All right. So the other thing that I wanted to share with you about the Insta360, besides content, besides video, what more can the camera do? I mean, what more can this little baby do? So AI, there's a video that I was showing you. Let me just open it again. Okay, so let's see this video here. So this actually what I normally did. So I was sitting from the beginning. I was sitting here, and I moved to that option to that. So I moved to that position there. Move to this position here, move to that position and to that other position. As you can see, it actually cloned me rather than me doing it on post. It actually did it itself. So the camera has built-in software in terms of AI. I did that with my phone, but it chows data. That's one thing that we need to explain. It chows data, is using data to actually render all of this. Meaning data like your normal mobile data. If you're connected to the Wi-Fi, that's great. But if you're using your normal data, it's going to chow it to process all of this. How is it done? It's quite straightforward. I believe there was a screenshot that I did here to share with you. Okay, so this screenshot that I have here is on a different. Okay. Just want to push it to the front so that you can see this one. Okay. So this would be the live streaming one. Sorry about that.
It's a quantum field.
And that's the one that we played. So where's that one? Oh, okay. It's this one here. So So as you can see, it is rotating, and the resolution was quite good compared to before. Previously, the resolution was quite bad. You can actually see how pixelated it was. But for now, what they've done is that they improved it in terms of the resolution is pushing out. So one of the nice thing with AR is that is minimum effort. You actually sit down, you put the camera in the middle, as I put it in the middle there, and it starts rotating. So it rotates for five seconds. So I was sitting here for 5 seconds and then move to the other scene for 5 seconds, to the other scene for 5 seconds, up until it created this effect. Now, what I wanted to show you here, the first video, it was the connection, how to connect to your phone. So this is the preview from my app, my Insta360 app, in terms of the settings. So what I've normally told people is that in terms of, you need to make sure whenever you're recording anything, you need to understand your settings. I want to show you here, example here. And I've actually done this. It was amateur hour on my side where I didn't check my exposure. I didn't check my quality, that my settings. So you need to check your settings. So what I was doing here is checking the settings. So if you put it on standard mode, but you don't check your exposure rate, your video will be like this. So it's gonna be too exposed. As you can see, it's quite noisy, it's bright. You see here even my my exposure rate, so I'm just gonna decrease it. So if you don't check any of that, which is one of the best thing about the Insta360, that you can actually do that. But what I've learned is that some professional cameras, you can actually change all of this while recording. With an action camera, you can't. You actually have to set it before, and then from there you can actually do it. So one of the benefits with this small camera is live streaming. So what do I mean about live streaming? So here it is a pre-recorded video that I did on my phone. So I actually took a screenshot of this so that I can show you how I've been, what is this, live streaming? So you actually go to you normally turn on your mobile data. Once you turn on your mobile data, but make sure the speed that you're using. So what I did is I checked my speed in terms of your network connection, because if you have poor speed, you won't be able to do any live streaming. So if you have proper speeds, as you can see, my telecom speed was quite fast. Sorry about that. So your download and upload maximum should be 5 megs up, 5 megs down. That is the maximum that you need to have. As you can see, my upload was increasing to 5 to 6, which is proper. I can do the stream. So before you do any stream, you need to check your speed test, and also bear in mind, this is not a professional camera. So in terms of live streaming for any event, let's say for instance, you are having a meeting that will take up to an hour or 2 hours. This little camera won't actually hold it up unless you're connecting it to your power bank, or you're actually charging it at the same time while live streaming. But you need to bear in mind it will overheat. So if it overheats, you're gonna have an issue, which you don't want to do that. So before it actually can stream, it has to get permission from my own account. So this was my personal account that I'm using, but because I have a group chat. So for instance, if you have a company group chat and then you want to do a live stream, you can actually use this camera. But if you know the live stream will be more than 30 seconds, 30 minutes or less, you can actually use it with a full charge battery. But if you are using it for a long process video, you can't actually use it with this small camera. You need to upgrade to more professional cameras, like for the likes of Pro 2 or the Titan, which they can be used for live streaming and actually proper resolution. So as you can see, I'm gonna give it access to my page. So access is saved. All I need to do is type it out, like what am I streaming, and then this is my live streaming test. And from there, I'm just going to put it in. So this will appear from a timeline in terms of the stream, the waiting on the stream. So it's going to wait up until it connects. So now it's connecting Facebook and the camera before it can go on, it can go streaming. So it's connected, now it's connected. As you can see, you see here, you can even see your likes and views. So if you have a broader view, people will be able to pan. So as you can see, I'm doing that from Facebook. So people will be able to pan and see everything in 360 rather than a normal fixed view. So those are one of the beauties with Insta360 One X. And just want to share with you one last content that I actually did with the camera in terms of more activities and also for corporate. I just want to finish it off for you guys to show you something here that I actually did, which is quite dope. So for music videos, you can actually use the same camera that I touched on. Corporate, you can actually use it. Waterproof, yes, it is waterproof. I actually used it on underwater. It is waterproof. And the other thing about the camera is the effects, the AI effects that you can actually get from any other camera. For instance, just want to see here if I can share something. Just wait. So this one I actually uploaded it on YouTube. So this would be a 360 video. As you can see everything around me. And the camera was here at the bottom. As you can see with the shadow. And I'm just gonna play it. So you can see that that's me with my belly. And then, yeah. So these are one of the best things that you can actually do with the camera, that you can actually get out from any other camera in the market, especially when it comes to content like that. So for that content, there is a guy who is actually using it for a music video. They actually shot it with a different camera, but they actually had to went on post to get that effect. So just to close it off in terms of the meeting today, in terms of what you need to learn and what to expect and what are the things that I've learned using the camera? What are the benefits? Why do you need a 360 camera? What is it for? What is it good for? So one thing that I've learned with this camera is that you can actually buy it as an investment to your business or to if you want to improve on your skills. For instance, if you are into videography, this would be one of the benefits of getting a 360 camera, as I've showed you, with the pivot points, getting different visuals using a 360 camera, which can add value to your content that you're pushing out. For business, and also one thing that I forgot to mention is this camera can be connected to your Zoom or your Google Teams, and you can use it as a webcam. So as a webcam, basically, it will use these two lenses. The one lens will look at the front, the other one will look at the back. Meaning, if for instance you're using it in a boardroom, you can put it in the middle. It will focus on the people on the other side and the people on the other side. Then it's going to split it into two screens. Then the benefit of using the 4K mode for webcam is that it can actually track you. For instance, if I'm using it like now and then I have to stand up to write something on a whiteboard, it will actually track me and go with me to that whiteboard. It doesn't move. It's using AI technology to move around. So those are one of the benefits with this camera. So the use case, it would be video, photography as well you can do, and also house tours. House tours with the like of Metapod, you can actually use the camera with the software called Metapod. So Metapod is a different software where you can actually map out a house. If you want the 3D room scale of a house, you can actually use this camera to generate that. So it's taking the whole house into a 3D mapped out clone. If you don't know what is Metapod, we can share the link with you guys so that you can learn more about Metapod. So the other thing that you can use the camera for would be live streaming. As I've touched on, you can actually live stream from your phone. You can live stream to Facebook, YouTube, and from there you can actually create a live stream for a private, what is this, for your RTMP. So meaning RTMP is is your private streaming. So for instance, if you want to host it in a private platform, you can actually create that URL address, and then from there somebody can open that URL. It will take them to VLC or your own, what is this, Chrome. You can open it from Chrome, and then you can actually play a video from the in360 as well. So what are the negatives of using a 360 camera that I've come across is sometimes, yes, the camera can jam, can overheat, it cannot basically function. Let's say, for instance, you're recording and then suddenly it's not responding to your phone, meaning the signal that you are using it, like the signal, your Wi-Fi, cuts off. Those are one of the problems that you can actually face with the camera. And the other thing that you need to take into mind is the Wi-Fi signal. What I've came across is you can actually use it more than 10 meters away. Meaning if you're connecting your camera to your mobile device, for instance, using it to operate your camera, because your mobile device is more of a remote to your camera. But bear in mind, it's not all of the mobile devices that can operate your camera. So there is an entry level into what mobile device you need to have, especially when it comes to spec of your phone. Obviously, for Android, you'll be looking at Android 6 going up. I think those are the phones that can, in terms of software speed, they are entry level. iOS, most of the iOS devices can actually connect to the camera without any issues. But despite the issue they had was with the tablets, but I think they have resolved it. Most of the tablets can work. The other benefit with the camera is it's quite fun to use. Creating different content for different markets is quite tricky. So whenever you have this camera or you're looking into getting this type of camera, you just need to understand, are you going to use it for normal videos or corporate, which it answers it all. You can use it for anything. It doesn't matter if you are into professional photography, professional videography, you can actually use this bad boy because it will cover you, especially when you want something totally different from what you are normally used to. Changing the dynamics of using content and using cameras. So I'm pretty much sure that I've touched everything, and so to conclude the scope of the meeting, and then so as far as I can say, guys, there isn't much that you can actually say about the camera that is bad, but yeah, I have liked it, and it's quite fun to use. The content that I've developed and also the content that I've made for companies is quite useful, training videos and so on. But before I wrap up, is there any questions or something that I missed that you need clarity on? Is there anything?
I have a question.
Yes.
The Insta360 Studio, does it only work for Insta360 cameras and footage from Insta360, or can I use other cameras as well?
So, okay, thank you for that question. I think that is a good question. So how it works is that most of the videos can play, but depending on the format. So for instance, if maybe your format would be MOV, it's not gonna display, but what I've did is that you can actually dump any video content into the stager and then into the studio, it will open it up. But some of the functionalities wouldn't be, you won't be able to actually use them. For instance, let me show you the same one that I've been looking at here. This one here, this is a screenshot. So this is a normal video that I actually have. As you can see, you don't have free capture or anything. So you can actually pan around to do anything. But for instance, if you have something similar to this, I'm just gonna show you a simple scenario here. Just wanna open it just now. So this would be a different image from a different camera. I'm just gonna show you here. Let's wait. Okay. So there's a picture that I'm trying to dump in here, and I can't actually do it. I'm putting it on a timeline. It doesn't even open it. So yes, to answer your question, yes, the studio is restricted to what you bring into it. So some of the content that you have won't be able to be played from the studio. I'm not sure if that clears it up.
Yes, it does.
I also have a question. You mentioned professional cameras.
Yes.
Can you maybe elaborate on those professional cameras?
Okay. So in terms of the professional cameras that I spoke about the Pro 2 and also the Titan. So the reason being is that they're all different. So this one, in terms of quality-wise, resolution, you're looking at 5.7K of resolution, which is not as big as an 8K or 11K, which would be the Pro 2 and Titan. So the Insta360 Pro 2 is quite good in terms of resolution. It records at 8K res, and so it actually has 6 lenses. So each side actually has a lens. So it has 6 lenses around it, and also it takes in 6 memory cards from each lens. So you can imagine the resolution from that. And then the Pro 2 would be one of the biggest camera we have. Each has, I believe, should be 9 lenses around it, and it takes in. So the quality of it is, what is this, 11K, and then also 10-bit rate in terms of color. So it's quite technical when I say 10-bit for 10 bit. So for those who understand the color dynamic or the color window, meaning it can take in more light, or it can take in, so in terms of low lighting, it's quite vivid. Like you can actually see, like you can put it in a dark room, and if you have lighting around it, you can actually see how clear is it. It's not pixelated or anything. So those are the high-end cameras. If you are moving, if you want to improve, or you want to move a step up, if you want to move up in terms of using 360. But the entry level to understanding 360 and to learn how to use a 360 camera, this would be your entry level base, your Insta360 One X, because you can do a lot of things with this camera and then still get the same job, but not the same, but close enough to professionalism. I'm not sure if I cleared up in terms of the difference between the Pro 2, the Titan, and the One X, of the difference between the res and so on.
No, thank you. You did.
All right then. Guys, is there anything else? I just don't want to take most of your evening.
I think thanks, Sam. You did well, and I think if we got more questions, like I got an odd Insta 360.
Yes.
Do I need to use a different type of editing software to edit my pictures?
No. To answer you on that, no. So basically, what happens with your camera, you're still in the same bracket of Insta360 ecosystem. So it doesn't matter if you have a different camera or whatever in terms of the Insta360 range. So if you have the old 1X, I presume, so the old 1X still works the same as the 1X, 1R Twin Edition. The only difference with the 1R Twin Edition is that this one is modular. So in terms of software and everything, it's still the same. Even on the app, you can still do much similar things. The only downfall with that one, it was with the live streaming. So the 1X, before you can live stream, you only needed your, what is this? You only needed a cable to connect to it and to be able to live stream. So with these new ones, you don't need a cable. You can actually live stream without a cable. I'm not sure if I've answered, but your cameras pretty much does the same thing as the new one.
No, you've answered well. Thanks.
All right, thank you, sir. Anybody else?
So just a question from our comments. Is there anything special you do for planning when you're shooting 360 or when you're shooting regular video?
Yes, you actually have to plan it out, because the difference with shooting a normal video and shooting a 360 video, there is different similarities. So for instance, because the 1R comes with a 4K mode, so for a 4K mode, you can hold it. You can actually hold your camera like this. That's your recording. But with 360, you can't actually hold it, because if you hold it, you are covering the other lens. So positioning your camera, you need to plan it out to say, how are you gonna map it out? For instance, with what you saw with the car, is that we started out from outside. So you give a tour. So you actually have to have your start, your middle, and your ending. So how we planned it is that once you start, you're gonna introduce yourself, and then from there you cut it. You go to your studio, we cut it, and then we use that to your intro, and then we use the middle one while he's sitting inside the car to actually finish off the car. So the difference between, to answer you when you say, is there anything special? Yes, there's something special about it, is because with this one, basically, you can actually capture more content than this one. So if this one, my frame was out. So if I was not focusing on my object, but I was higher or I was lower, I can't do anything. With this one, you can actually be able to reframe it. So that is one best thing that you can I can say about the Insta360 is that you can actually reframe and change any. So if you did anything wrong, you can actually reframe it, position wherever you wanted to. But with this, you are supposed to be specific. So if you messed up, you have to go back again and do it. This you can record once and you have the full content. I'm not sure if that sums it up.
Can I just add on one comment?
Yes.
Also, with my experience with pre-planning for shooting with 360 versus regular video, or just shooting in general, I think to Trevor, just be careful when you are filming to make sure that the position that you're holding your monopod or selfie stick is always straight. Because what can happen is that if you shoot it at an angle, sometimes you see the invisible selfie stick, or if you, like, I think shooting at angles, if you're using the 360 mod, can cause problems in post. And but if you're shooting for regular video, I think that might not be such an issue. That angle of the selfie stick, and also when you mount it onto the mounting bracket, if it's also at an angle, you will still see it beneath the camera. So that's just something that I just wanted to add on as a comment.
Yes, those are great points. Thank you so much.
That's spot on. Thank you for that, Refilo. So, is there
Welcome.
any other question that you guys might have for me?
No, thank you, Sammy. I think you've covered it.
We are good, Sammy. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Not a problem. So thank you guys for tuning in for our AT Hangouts, and then don't be alert. Like, we're gonna drop out more, and also there's gonna be a follow-up video in terms of the content we had today, so that you can actually learn more of what you can use a camera for, what are the benefits, what are the tricks that you can learn, what not to do, what to do, what to expect. So there'll be more content coming out soon that you can actually see from us. Thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else before I can close it off?
No, thanks.
Yes.
I just wanted to add on that we will be sending everybody who registered, we'll be sending you the recording of this video via your email addresses. And if you haven't registered, just drop your email address in the comment or in the chat section, and then we'll just send the recording of the video to you, so you can just go over it afterwards.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
Thank
thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
All right then.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining. Hope to see you on the next one. I hope this is not the last time we interact with you. So if there's anything else, please do shoot us any questions. We'll be able to assist. And then if you need any help, please do let us know. We are available to help you. Thank you so much for joining us for today.
I think maybe next time we should have Yak to tell us about some agricultural systems.
For what?
I'm saying we should get the other guys next time to. Yak, you were showing us that other system you had when you. The one that you use to monitoring things in the greenhouses and so on. Maybe next time you should do.
Yes.
You should come on as a guest, as a speaker.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Right. No, thank you so much. I'll do that one.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. And thanks, Refilo, for organizing the event. Well done. Thanks, guys.
Okay. It's only a pleasure.
All right, then. Good night, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.